This road trip to Florida and the West Coast ain't going to be no vacay for the Twins if the first game is any indication. They couldn't generate much offense, again, aside from Carlos Correa's long home run. Brock Stewart made a really bad pitch in the sixth. Later on, Trevor Larnach made a really bad jump, and the Twins paid a really big price. If the Twins want to keep pace in the AL Central, they'll need to get this roadshow going today. But all you'll need to do is get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insights, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team. It's your team every day. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer who always gets off on the right foot in this podcast. I'm also a BBWA member and a Hall of Fame voter. Across the Great Plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warren, who just can't wait to get on the road again. Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he's both. You can find more of our work at Access Twins and Zone Coverage. On the podcast this time, the Twins came in having won 16 of 19, but now they've dropped 2 straight after a 7-2 loss to the Tampa Bay Rays on Monday night. Almost no hitting, poor relief pitching, and a big defensive miscue were the lowlights. Highlights were some hard hit balls by Carlos Correa, including a home run, and another ERA-reducing start by Chris Paddack. Byron Buxton is one day closer to returning from his concussion, presumably. David Festa is back on the AAA mound for the first time in about 2.5 weeks. And some near news on Walker Jenkins getting back on the field someday. So, Brandon, a couple kind of sour games in a row. They're not all going to be winners. It's a difficult ballpark to get your head around. It seems dark, and the sidelines are very narrow, and I don't like it very much. It doesn't. It's not conducive for great major league games, and the Twins accordingly did not play one yesterday, really.
Yeah, I would have called it Slopacana Field with how they played, because that play especially, see what I did there? Their fielding was a bunch of lemons. The play in left that Larnach missed, I mean, you could chalk it up to unfamiliarity, but at the end of the day, that's a play that a major league left fielder makes. I wasn't going to say more often than not, but always, almost always. And that alone is probably why we've seen Deshaun Kiersey Jr. on this roster a lot longer than I think a lot of people expected. And another instance where having Harrison Bader able to play out there would have been extremely helpful. So, yeah, I mean, it's one game, and it's, you know, we probably won't even remember it a week from now or 2 weeks from now. Let's hope. But yeah, I understand where people are coming from. Like, yeah, you got to make those plays. And Cody Funderburk got hit around a little bit, but he didn't get any favors. And it's just a tough night at the old ball yard. And I had turned the volume down to listen to the Timberwolves game while I was watching too. So there was a lot of negativity going around in these parts last night at about, I don't know, 9 something PM, 8 something PM, late 8 something PM.
Well, it was a 3-2 game when Larnach did not make that play, and the Twins didn't score any more runs. So it certainly changed the complexion of the game the rest of the way. I looked it up on StatCast. What do you think the catch probability was? Higher.
Or 42, I was going to say.
No, you're way off. I mean, how high can you go?
Catch probability or expected batting average?
Catch probability.
Oh, maybe it's in the – I'd say maybe in the 70s, 75, 80.
Oh, no.
What?
99.
Oh, man.
110 expected batting average, and then 99% catch probability.
110
I would say
batting average.
He's not going to make any worse plays. I mean,
yeah.
He's Trevor Larnach's very good against right-handed hitters, right-handed pitchers, I should say.
Yeah.
but he's not that good. It's not like when does Emmanuel Rodriguez? When can he come up?
Yeah.
Um,
He's been hitting lower in the order.
99% catch probability.
He's been hitting lower in the order too, which is a little odd. So I don't know what's going on there.
Emmanuel Rodriguez has?
Yes. And I don't know if it's a platoon, handedness thing, but I've seen a lot of lineups where he's bottom third of the order and guys like Fitzgerald are leading off. So I don't know what that's about either. But yeah, if you're going to be in the lineup and not making those plays, you really got to be hitting. And that's not really the case right now. I mean, it's not really the case for anybody in this lineup right now outside of Cody Clemens, who is slugging 714 since joining the Twins. And Correa, good to see his bat starting to come around. A couple more good games. He'll be, maybe slugging in the 400s and kind of getting closer to where we expected him to be. But Ty France can't be this team's most consistent performer in big spots. That's not a formula conducive to any form of success whatsoever.
It was a tough assignment yesterday. Zach Littell is, in the Chris Paddack realm. He's a good fourth starter. He's certainly capable of. This wasn't a fluke or anything yesterday as far as his performance. It was good, and all they could muster was the Correa home run. Now Correa, now the good news with him, he hit 4 balls really hard yesterday. He hit the home run was really super hard. It was 108.8 miles an hour, 417 feet, a 2-run homer off Garrett Clevenger. I thought it was funny. They definitely went to that. Clevenger's a left-handed pitcher, and they went to him because the top of the order was up and Larnach was leading off, and he's left-handed. So that's pretty much neutralizes him. But coming up after Correa was Clemens. So, I mean, that was like 50% to make sure that Cody Clemens, if he comes up with anybody on base, and they pinch hit for him anyway. But
right.
Yeah, so it's funny how teams are strategizing for Cody Clemens. So
yeah,
it's just it's been kind of an amazing run for him.
It was a very Rocco Baldelli-esque move by Kevin Cash, though. I mean, I would like
related. I think.
Well, I would like to see Twins fans see when those moves don't pan out, though they made sense. You know what I mean? Like Correa had an amazing, immaculate swing on that. And that's sort of like if you were to have Griffin Jacks come in to face, I don't know, Jose Ramirez or something, but he gets hit by Bo Naylor. Like sometimes your best laid plans don't go as you hope. I mean, there's a reason why they're professionals on both sides of every play. And so, yeah, I mean, the Twins didn't come back to make it actually matter. And Carson McCusker looked extremely overmatched in that plate appearance right afterward. But I want people to have a better understanding of the landscape of baseball. Like teams are making very similar decisions to the Twins on a daily basis. And sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. In Kevin Cash's instance here, it didn't. And Clevenger's a very solid reliever, 2.14 ERA after allowing the home run. Granted, only one of the runs was on his ledger, but the Twins have hit some pretty big hits off some pretty good relievers lately. Lucas Urseg among those as well. So, not a lot to be excited about in this game, but the game within the game, Correa doing that and what it could, suggest for him moving forward could be something to keep an eye on.
You raised a good point. It wasn't even necessarily my intention to say, hey, Twins fans, it's not just Rocco, but it isn't. Now, let's unpack this a little bit. Again, goes to the left-handed relief pitcher with the left-handed Larnach leading off. Clemens in the lineup later. You figure he's going to get Larnach out. Then a couple guys are up. And so Correa isn't going to necessarily come to bat as the tying run. So, or the lead run. And then you're going to neutralize Clemens in a similar sense or get him out of the game, which is funny to say, but it didn't work out because Correa hit the home run, but they still had the lead and they got Clemens out of the game. So I'll say that there were some good things that happened for the Rays on that. And it didn't work out 100% the way they wanted it to, but it was the more I think about it, I don't know, it was a cool piece of managing. It was absolutely the right thing to do, even though they gave up 2 runs in the inning just because of the reasons I said, keeping Larnach off the base, the leadoff hitter out, getting Clemens out of the game, or bringing in a lefty to neutralize him when he's potentially the tying run and lead run or whatever. It's great managing by Kevin Cash, even though the guy gave up a 2-run homer.
Yeah, no, you're right. And the thing is to try to explain that to people who only see outcomes. I've kind of learned just to stop doing that because it's so much aggravation and minutes off my life that I just don't need to do anymore.
Well, we don't need any more aggravation than we can take on. So we're going to take our break for the first time. And then when we come back, we will talk more about the Locked On Twins world.
Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. That's Supply House. Whether you are in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Could have used them yesterday when we were looking for a piece for our hot water heater. So again, Supply House would have come in handy, but didn't have the time on Memorial Day. But if you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5. That's Sam Horn 5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com.
Locked On Twins hath returned. You can call me Ray, Dave Brown, and Brandon Warren, talking about Game 1 leading into Game 2 of the Twins series at George M. Steinbrenner Field. George Michael Steinbrenner, I believe. It's dark out there. It's I can
dingy.
see. Yeah, I mean, I'm making a few excuses for Trevor Larnach on his failure to launch, little hop there, mistimed, misplaced jump. But it is dark out there. If you lose sight of the ball, I can see how that can happen. And you know, but I also think Trevor Larnach needs to be slugging more than 400. So it's not. How's
that for
a pass?
A dueling dichotomy. We don't want to play games in the heat of the day, but we're going to play in rec court basketball lighting. I mean, there's got to be a happy medium in there somewhere, don't you think?
Yeah, but it would cost probably more money than the Yankees are willing to put into their Florida State League team stadium, and most of the games in spring training are going to be
during the day
anyway. So, you know, you look at it like that, and you can almost understand why they wouldn't want to spend the money.
They used to show highlights of the St. Paul Saints back when they were indie ball, and they played at Midway Stadium, which was not far from the state fairgrounds. And that's exactly what the videos looked like. It was almost like, dimly lit, that's the kind of vibe I got. And I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not saying it's untenable, but it certainly is understandable that this is the only thing this is preferable to is playing in a roofless Tropicana stadium that has, I don't know what it looks like now, but, obviously still not fit for baseball to be played there.
You know what it isn't? It isn't Major League. I mean, and I don't mean the movie. It's not Major League quality. And, I hope the amenities that they have behind the scenes kind of make up for it. But, it's just the more I think about the Larnach play, I remember looking at the replay and, man, it's dark. So I can see where a mediocre outfielder would have if Bader doesn't hurt his finger, that's the injury, right? It's some kind of finger injury. That's why he wasn't in the lineup. He catches that ball though, and that whole
puts in his back pocket. Yeah, I'm curious how this situation would have been handled if it were a team that wasn't as back burner. We might move them afterthought. Like, again, there's a lot of like the whole butterfly effect of, well, if it was a different team, they wouldn't be near Tampa where there happened to be the ability to do this. So they'd have to do something different. I mean, would the Twins play half their games at Miller Park? I don't know what they would do because or CHS Field, the locality of it all probably lends itself to different logical fallacies in this argument. But I just can't help but feel like the Rays are an afterthought in the eyes of a lot of people in Major League Baseball, and that this arrangement, as nice as it is for the Yankees to accommodate it, kind of reflects that.
Well, we've read stories about how they want Stuart Sternberg, they being the other owners, to sell the team.
Yeah,
and this is sort of a solution to the problem, a temporary one, but still, it's almost like, the solution is going to make him look even worse somehow.
I was shocked.
It gets the job done, but
I was shocked 5 months wouldn't have been enough time to fix it. But
you can't rebuild the roof in 5 months. That's what I thought. You'd think that they would have been able to do that by now.
Right. And I don't know if that's a logistics thing. If efforts and resources were more important to everyday people in that area who were affected, totally on board with that. I just wonder if it was a time issue, a funding issue, a Sternberg issue, or some combination of all of those. Because it just seems to me, in this day and age, you'd be able to repair a roof like that in 5 months. I mean, you're talking October to March, and you could probably rework the schedule if they needed to go into April. We talked about the Braves going on that crazy long road trip during the 96 Olympics. And there's been a lot of amendments to schedules that, there's amendments to the schedule as is with how this has gone. I don't know. I'm curious the logistics of that. And I'm not trying to be a aha or gotcha or anything. Just, I'd like to know.
Well, I think the politicians down there had agreed to a new stadium and lease extensions and keeping the Rays there. Then the hurricane hits, and then a lot of light is shined on these agreements. And it's like, well, maybe we shouldn't be paying for this, given what else is going on. I think that probably has something to do with it. Like if the Rays were, or if somebody else were paying for it, I think they probably could have had it done by now. But it's a little more complicated than that. So, and it gives the I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if the government goes back on its agreement to help fund the Major League Baseball team in the light of what happened with the hurricane,
Right.
Like,
and I want to
morally,
I agree.
So it isn't, we're complaining about Trevor Larnach missing a fly ball and all, the dankness of it, but it's I guess from that standpoint, from the bureaucracy and getting things done and how and the optics, and also, maybe there's a reckoning, like, maybe we shouldn't just be so quick to fund this when, we can't put people in school or keep them fed or whatever. So anything to shame the government into doing the right thing, maybe it's a good thing.
Well, and it's also too, like, the hurricane is an imminent danger all the time in that area. Did you need a hurricane to happen to tell you this wasn't a good idea? Like, wouldn't the threat of a hurricane tell you this isn't a good idea? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, again,
it's not like it's going to be their last hurricane.
Yeah, no, this is not the last hurrah for the hurricane. I don't know. Again, this is well beyond my pay grade, but it just, I don't know. I think if the Rays are an afterthought in the eyes of Major League Baseball, they are a team they would desperately like to move somewhere else. And so I don't know if this is all part of that or what.
There are a lot of different things at work here. There's I don't know if they want him to leave Florida, but they definitely want them to leave St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
So,
well, they got their wish there.
Right. So that's, there's just a lot of, Twins fans remember how awkward it is, and the different political entities pushing and pulling in a team, and the league wanting to contract them. It wasn't even so much, demanding that the Pohlads sell the team. It was like, you need to leave. You need to be expunged from the league. It's politically, it's a very delicate situation. So for reasons good and bad, before we go to our break, I did want to get this in about how the Twins offense is not going so well. They've scored, I believe, 12 runs in the last 5 games. And if you look at the lineup that they put out every day, you mentioned, who's hitting well and who isn't. Most of the guys in the lineup aren't hitting well. One of the best hitters in the lineup is Byron Buxton, who has not been out there for the last little over a week, or longer than that, almost 2 weeks, because of his concussion. They don't have, when Bader's not in the lineup and Buxton isn't in the lineup, they're going to be, the lineup's going to be full of holes. And it's just, when does the offense, does it necessarily get better when Buxton and Wallner are back out there? Or are they going to be this inconsistent all season?
It wasn't before when they were healthy. I mean, they weren't scoring runs early in the year either. So yeah, I'm not saying it's reached like epidemic levels, but it's concerning to say the least.
Well, and I think that we're just going to have to be satisfied with a team that's really good at pitching, and maybe can be even a little better starting wise.
Right.
And is really good in the bullpen. And then an offense that is going to be, at the top of the bottom third, 20th, maybe they can get to the middle of the pack in offense. I don't know if it's going to get any better than that. And maybe that's good enough. That's going to be good enough. We'll see. But we're going to take our second break here. And then when we come back, we'll wrap this up and talk a little bit more about the Twins and the Rays. Locked on Twins has returned for our final segment for May 27th. The Twins fell to the Rays 7-2 on Monday night. They get another crack at them today, and then the finale Wednesday afternoon before a day off, and then on to Seattle. Finally, a major league ballpark for at least a few days, and then the A's next week. So in West Sacto. Chris Paddack. His ERA, have you noticed? Chris Paddack's ERA has gone down for 10 straight outings, which is amazing 2 ways. 1, he hasn't given up enough earned runs for it to go up. 2, his ERA was so high.
How high was it?
It was so high that it's gone in his last 9 outings, in which the Twins are 3-6.
Yeah.
He's got a 2.34 ERA.
Last 9. Yeah, I have the full scope of that. I think it was like 14 point something before that. In his last 9 starts, it's 2.34, a whip of exactly 1. It's 50 innings pitched, 197 batters faced. He's only struck out 36 though, which just something to keep an eye on. But he's keeping the ball in the yard, 0.72 homers per 9, and his slash against, this is really solid, 207, 260. 296. Opposing batters slugging 296 against a guy whose biggest issue has been giving up home runs in his career. I'm not saying he's going to reinvent the wheel or anything, but it wouldn't shock me if he screws around and gets a qualifying offer at the end of this year, because if he pitches like this, like to a 3.50 ERA down the stretch, that's a QO. Like that's a Seth Lugo type, like not a lot of strikeouts, but will get outs kind of guy. Like that's the kind of guy that could get a 3-year deal for 50-some million, right?
Possibly. I mean, that would be a great, what a great turnaround after kind of wandering around and coming off serious injuries and lots of time between. This is, he hasn't been a consistent starter, and I don't know if it's like 100% due to injuries and recovering from injuries, but it's significant enough that and pitching is such a weird science. Weird science. But Paddack hasn't gotten really good results since he was a rookie. And, if he does this as a fourth or fifth starter, that's a terrific kind of unexpected result. I wouldn't have, especially after the first two appearances of the year, would not have expected him to be so effective. And, I just kind of shake my head when he does a 1-2-3, or even if he puts someone on, no runs across. I'm like, wow, this is, and then in the middle of his starts, fifth, sixth inning, he starts to run into trouble second time through or whatever, but it's not necessarily a game breaker. I mean, he's gone into the seventh a couple times. So,
and they have the bullpen to back it up. Like the pieces make sense.
It does. They do. They are. Here's the number though. We've gone over his numbers. Run support, 2.5 runs is what they average for Paddack. I think that's while he's in the game. I believe that's what that stat is.
Yeah, that's always confused me, because like it should only include while he's in the game, and I think it does, but it is kind of funny because you have the half inning where did he leave the game yet? Did he not leave the game yet? If the decision goes to him if they score runs. In the meantime, it's why wins and losses to me don't carry a lot of weight.
Yeah, when he left the mound mid-inning, he was talking to himself. He was upset about, I think maybe he'd gotten ahead of somebody 2 strikes, and then they got on base or whatever. He was talking to himself. But I was thinking, is he talking to himself? Because, if I had some darn run support, I could still be out there. It's like, it's weird how much run support alters our impression of how well someone's pitching.
Yeah,
because it's like if he got 6 runs a game for whatever reason, which happens, you'd be like, "Wow, is this guy the ace of the staff?" It was. Some people would wonder.
Well, and I caught myself being like, crazy. "Oh, Cody Funderburk sucked tonight," and then I realized, like, if Larnach catches that ball, it changes everything, and that's not his fault. So it is funny how that can tweak your perception when someone else doesn't do their job.
However, with Funderburk, I was kind of excited. His first couple games when he came back, he didn't give up any runs. Now he's given up 6 earned runs in his past 2 outings. There's one thing about it, though, that I don't like. He's only got 1 strikeout in his past 4 outings since his recall, since he first pitched May 14th. So he hasn't pitched a lot, but I don't know that the stuff is very swing and missy. Mm-hmm. So, you're right about his earned runs yesterday. Possibly it could have been 0 if Larnach makes that catch, which he should have, 99%. But I don't know. They definitely miss Daniel Coulombe right now. And
are you at a point where you would promote someone else in place of Funderburk? Like,
who's not necessarily a left-hander.
Well, so I was looking, like, Funderburk's thrown 50 some odd innings with a 5+ ERA. Reliever jobs are fickle enough that guys like that get DFA'd, optioned all the time. Like, not to call it a scholarship program, but at some point, do you look at, like, and again, I don't know who it would be. Would it be Andrew Morris? I mean, there's options. You're not bringing Festa up to relieve, especially with the shoulder stuff. But I don't know. I mean, would you look in that direction? McCracken, someone like that.
Yeah, you might put McCracken there. Yes, you might. How old are we?
69 combined, maybe. I don't know. No.
Hey, we didn't talk enough about Festa. He's returned to the AAA mound after having a sore shoulder, which I didn't really know about. They didn't
put him on the IL, did they? Like, they just played short for like 2 weeks. So like that's
I think they shut him down. And you kind of wondered. Remember when I was complaining about, well, we need someone to go more than 4 innings like SWR is, but he wasn't really doing that. His outings have been pretty short in AAA. And I think this is why, because he's having issues with his shoulder.
Shoulder
Now, right
back.
now he's fine, but it kind of bothers me that, they're going out of their way to not overuse him, and he's still touch and go with his shoulder. I don't know how well that bodes.
They're not overusing him; they're overusing him.
Mm. That's what you wanted to say?
Well, because Bailey Ober, when he came up, they would pull him 73 pitches, and people hated it. And now he's proving that was probably the right strategy.
Wasn't he coming off an injury? Why did they do that?
He didn't have a lot of innings built up. He had never thrown 100 innings at any level or whatever, and so they just wanted to build him up slowly. And now I think he could be a 150 to 175 inning guy routinely. And it's kind of funny that's where we're at now, where that's a big deal.
Marco Raya also pitching well at AAA. Not a lot of innings, but
that's a guy I'd look at. I mean, I think in short bursts he could give you some juice.
Yeah, I don't know if you. I'm not sure how far Coulomb is. If this is going to be 15 days, or it's still wait and see. We kind of don't know. So, but Festa back at AAA, at least doing well, available if they need him. But certainly you don't need to take Paddack out. I guess he's been great for a fourth or fifth starter. There aren't too many teams that could. The Dodgers would kill for it. They would.
Raya's the play for me. He's on the 40. You can't just not let him throw 3 innings at a time and never use him. I think I'd bring him up to as a reliever.
Right. So. All right. Well, Marco Raya, you get up here. Just go on our word. You don't have to get a call from Falvey or Zol or Zod. So, and we're going to make this call too. We want to thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts like this one, Locked On Twins. And we are going to Casilla tomorrow night because that's what we do. We see it tomorrow. Casilla.
When we put the right finale video on.
Are we going to do that?
Yes.